Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Nick with the 1994 Candle Co. And today we're actually not going to be talking about candles for once. I am going to be showing you guys step by step how I make my room and linen sprays for my business. But I do want to give credit where credit is due. I did not hear about this recipe on my own. It is actually, I heard of it from my friend Erica over at Memory Box Candle Co. And she actually heard about it from another candle maker, so I will put her original video down in the description box below, as well as the original video where she heard it from as well. If you haven't noticed, we're all just a big happy family here in the candle community. We share, a lot of us, most of us don't like to gatekeep or anything like that, so we are big fans of sharing. I mean, not everyone, but most of us are big fans of sharing all of our information and stuff, and so we just kind of pass along information sometimes to our own audiences and things like that, and I think that's great. I love that the candle community is honestly so welcoming and they're just so kind with sharing information to new people and things like that. And it's one of the things that I love most about this community. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to go over here to my work table and I'm going to show you guys step by step how I make my room and linen sprays. Hopefully you guys can see all right. I am using some Replica Surfaces today just because the rest of my studio is an absolute mess, as per usual. And so I thought I would kind of set this up so at least it looked a little bit nicer and stuff like that. But if you guys are interested in Replica Surfaces at all, I do have a discount code down in the description box below. I believe it is Photos12. So if you use my link down below and the discount code, you will get 12% off your purchase. I am not sponsored by Replica Surfaces or anything like that. I am an affiliate, so I do get a small commission if you place an order through my link, but I bought both of these surfaces and all the other surfaces that I have myself. So this is slate and this down here is gloss white. Like I said, I bought all these surfaces myself because I just truly love Replica Surfaces. I use them all the time. All of my product photos for like probably the last year or so now have all been done on Replica Surfaces because they are amazing. So if you go check out my Instagram, you can kind of see the photos that I take with them. They are just truly amazing. But anyway, back to the video. So to get started today, you are going to need distilled water. You can get this like pretty much any grocery store, some gas stations have it, etc. But it does need to be distilled water. You can't use like tap water or anything like that, just because of the different things in tap water and stuff like that. It's just better to use distilled water. And then you're also going to need some Polysorbate 20. Which I got this from Wholesale Supplies Plus. I will leave a link in the description box below where you can get all of the ingredients for today. And then you're also going to want a preservative. I am using Optifin Plus from Wholesale Supplies Plus as well. And I will describe more about these ingredients as the video goes and everything. As I'm making and using them and stuff like that, I'll kind of describe why you want these specific ingredients. And then the other thing is these little pipette droppers. These aren't necessarily required, but I highly recommend them because you are working with really small amounts of things, and so it's just easier to use a pipette dropper for some of these things. So I highly recommend getting some. Also going to need something to stir with. I like using these glass stirring rods. You're also going to need your bottle that you're going to be pouring your fragrance oil in. These are from Premium Vials. As well as I highly recommend getting some kind of funnel that you can pour into the bottles just because it's going to be way easier than trying to pour it in just with the spout. And then last but certainly not least is your fragrance oil. Today we're going to be making my scent Saturday Morning Memories, which is Fruit Loops from the Flaming Candle. One thing to note is that you are going to need to look at your IFRA statements on all your scents and make sure that they are safe for room sprays. We're only going to be using 5% today, so But if you do decide to use more or less or whatever, you just need to look at your IFRA statements and make sure that they are safe to use at that percentage in room spray. We are going to be making 5 bottles today, so you're going to want to first go ahead and weigh out 18.4 ounces of water if you're going to be making 5. Otherwise, you can look down in the description box below and I will leave the formula and all that down there. And of course I poured just a bit too much, so I'm going to pour some back. And then next up we're going to be using our Poly 20. For that you're going to want 0.4 ounces, or 0.40 I should say. And then as we get closer, I am just going to go ahead and use a pipette dropper just to make sure that we get closer, because obviously you can't really take it back out once you've poured it in. If you do go over a little bit though, it's not a huge deal. Poly 20 is just basically what makes the fragrance oil bind with the water. So even if you use a little bit too much, it's not going to really be a big deal. And then I do like to go ahead and just stir that up before adding anything else in, just to make sure that everything's going to bind with the water easily and stuff like that. It does kind of settle at the bottom as like a really thick, kind of like almost like a thick oil or something like that. So you do want to make sure that you get it really stirred in well so that your fragrance oil really binds with the water. Real fast, before we get to this next part, it would mean so much to me if you guys would leave this video a thumbs up, as well as subscribe to the channel if you are finding value from this video. I have tons of other videos on how to run a candle business, making candles, all that kind of stuff, with more definitely coming in the future. So it would mean so much to me if you guys would subscribe to the channel. And with that, let's get back into it. And then once that is all stirred up, you can go ahead and add the preservative. You're going to add 0.20 ounces of preservative. And I do just go ahead and use the pipette droppers right from the get-go with this, just because it's such a small amount that I don't want to like overfill it. Alright, and then you can go ahead and stir that in as well. And I forgot to mention that the reason that you want to use a preservative for your room and linen spray is because if you, especially if you're making it with water like we are today, over time the water and oil can get kind of moldy and gross and stuff like that. So you definitely want to add a preservative so that your room spray doesn't get all nasty. And then last, we're going to add in the fragrance oil. You're going to add 1 ounce of fragrance oil. Again, that's if you're making 5 room sprays. And you will see it kind of separating at first, but once we stir it in, it will be fine. And then you're going to go ahead and stir that really well. And then once you've got it all mixed, you can go ahead and pour it right into your bottles. We are making 5 4-ounce room and linen sprays. And then once you're all done, you can go ahead and put the lid on it. One thing I forgot to mention about these is you will have to buy these sprayers separately. It is a fine mist sprayer. Again, I'll link that down below. But then you can shake it up and you are good to go. And then this is what it looks like once it has been labeled. I don't remember the size of this label, but I'll leave it down in the description box below. I really love these room sprays just because they are super easy to make, and it really doesn't take very long. And they sell pretty decently, especially at markets and stuff like that during the spring and summer. They sell fairly well for me, so I highly recommend you try some out. One thing I forgot to mention is, as you can kind of see, it does not make it a super clear base. It's definitely kind of a milky color, which is why I like to use the matte black jars and stuff like that, just so I don't really have to worry about that. But to be honest, I don't think that many people would really care even if you used a clear jar with it. If it does bother you though, I have heard of people using Poly 80 instead of Poly 20. As far as I know, it's just a stronger version of Poly 20, and so it'll bind better and it won't leave that kind of milky appearance. Again, I have not tested that out, so you're definitely going to want to do your own testing with that and everything. I have never used Poly 80, so I don't know for sure if it works, but that is just what I've heard from other people. But just be sure to test it out before you sell any of your products, just like you should with any of your products. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I tried to make it a little bit shorter. I know that I kind of tend to babble sometimes, so, but I did try to make today's video shorter, and if you guys still want to hang out, I would love to see you at one of my other videos that are about to pop up on the screen, and I will see you there.